Tonight, it's the final show ever. Of this year, of course. Just joking, not ever. Plus, tonight's show, we have news from the CDC. Plus, we have news from Royal Caribbean. They have released some news about how this Oricon is affecting their cruising. And the crew are having visions now. And again, we'll explain all of that more. You've seen Cruise News Live Quick Takes. Now it's time for Cruise News Tonight. Live near Port Canaveral, Florida. This is the Cruise News Tonight. Coming up on today's show, we tackle the topics from the CDC and the impending possibility of a shutdown or lack thereof. Plus, we call out the major news media outlets for clickbait. This is a show you do not want to miss. It's Cruise News Tonight. Yo, what is up, everyone? Welcome into Cruise News Tonight. My name is Tyler. Thank you so much for joining us. We are streaming live here on youtube.com/The Cruise Junkie. Check it out. If you're new, consider subscribing. Of course, shows YouTube that you enjoy this content here. But we are live here tonight, and we're going through the cruise news, right? Of course, if you guys aren't familiar, the Cruise News Tonight is our show. We like to throw some jokes in the mix, even though the jokes aren't that funny because I'm terrible at doing jokes. But we try to throw some humor into the show with doing the cruise news. Plus, we have other segments coming up. Plus, we sit here and expose the major news media for clickbaiting, sort of. So we're going to get to that a little bit later in the show. But again, I'm going to welcome everyone into the chat. We have some folks here already. It's good to see all those folks here in the chat. Looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 folks around the show. So good to have everyone in here. So again, the viewers, the numbers do fluctuate. So we want to thank everyone in here for joining us. And we'll get to the news right now, but of course, we want to say a big thank you to our sponsor of today's show, of course, Patreon. I plug Patreon a lot during these shows because Patreon really keeps the lights on for these shows. It really just helps me able to do a lot more shows. So the more supporters you get on a Patreon, the more shows I will be doing. And again, Patreon, if you're a member on Patreon, you get access to never seen before videos, photos. Here's the deal. Every time I go to the port, I take lots of photos nowadays. And they're literally the HD photos. These are not the compressed files. These are the raw files I'll upload to Patreon. So again, any member tier gets those access to those photos. But enough with the plugging. Let's get to the cruise news. So the first news is the CDC. The cruise denying consulate. I think that's a good joke. Cruise denying consulate. Anyway, the Centers for Disease Control tells Americans, you don't need to go on a cruise right now. So the U.S. Centers of Disease Control and Preventions, or as of course we at the show calls it, the cruise denying consulate, on Thursday issued a fresh travel warning for Americans going on cruising, telling them to avoid cruise travel regardless if you're vaccinated, unvaccinated, it doesn't matter. Don't go on a cruise. This notice comes as the agency is updating its warning on cruise ships travel from level 3 to level 4. And again, level 4 is the highest of such levels. And again, this according to the CDC, this reflects the increase of cases on board cruise ships since the identification of this new variant. So again, whole bunch of stuff basically saying wear a mask on cruise ships. Basically, don't go on the cruise ships right now. And again, along with testing passengers who are not fully vaccinated, you should self-quarantine for 5 days after cruise ship travel, which I think is funny. This says, for passengers who are not vaccinated, should quarantine themselves after 5 full days of getting on a cruise ship. First of all, my question is, how in the world did an unvaccinated person even get on a cruise ship? Because it's impossible to get on one. But, yeah, I think that was pretty funny. So that's the CDC, the cruise denying consulate. That's the latest from there. I know we had the senator guy, and then this on top of this. So past few days have been very depressing here at the show. So that's the CDC. And you're hoping for a New Year's. Everyone says, Happy New Year's. What's the New Year's revolution? Well, unfortunately for Cunard, their New Year's revolution was to hopefully start sailing again. But unfortunately, they didn't get their resolution this year, which was to resume sailings out of New York because the Queen Mary 2 cancels New York call and waits for more crew down there in Barbados. Lastly, we have news from Royal Caribbean, so we'll get to that. Royal Caribbean has moved a lot of their crew who got test positive on any of their ships sailing in the Caribbean to the Vision of the Seas. And again, I wonder why they chose Vision. Is it because they want the crew to have a vision of getting out of quarantine? That probably gets the award right there for the worst joke of the night. What do you guys think? I'm going to ask my producer over here. He says does not make the award. But lastly, we said the last story was supposed to be the last one, but this is the last cruise news story. These cruise ships sit in limbo. Of course, that means they have basically they're idle and they have no future. They don't know what's happening. So those cruise lines are the Berlin. This ship was sold to new owners in 2020. It's a 420 guest vessel. It was planned to be converted into a private yacht. However, that never happened. The Marella Celebration also is in limbo. There has been rumors of scrapping throughout the years. However, the ship has not moved in over 17 months. The Marella Dream, same thing. Except it remains at Anchorage to this day. The Pearl 2, the former Saga Pearl 2, once again was sold to a company, currently sits in Greece with no future plans. We also have the Astoria, that was now defunct Cruise Maritime Voyages. That ship still remains, basically has no plans. And again, those are just a few of the ships that are being scrapped. I could go here on for 5 hours doing this, but we're going to go over there and talk about the cruise news, or the lack thereof, the clickbait from the major media outlets right now here in the Cruise News Tonight. Cruise News Tonight will return right after this. Back, everyone. We are here now on the Discord call. If you want to join the call, of course, you can go ahead and join the call. We're here with Nathan now, and speaking of that, if anyone wants to join the call, you're absolutely free to. There's a link pinned up above if you're not already a member of the Discord server. We're going to talk all things cruising now. This is a new thing we're going to do on the show. We're trying to do is Discord calls. So, Nathan, if you guys are familiar, Nathan's here with the YouTube channel Best of Boat Worlds. How you doing, Nathan?
I'm doing good. How about you, Tyler?
I am doing well on this evening. So we had some people react to the Vision of the Seas, worst joke of the night. My producer, he's still telling me it's the worst joke of the night. Nathan, was that a bad joke? Was I think that was the worst joke of the night, or what one do you think was the worst joke of the monologue so far?
Well, my opinion, I think my jokes are bad, so I think these jokes are better.
Oh wow, thank you. Look at that. So Blaine, really creative travel. He says they had some kind of vision, so they placed them there. Let me see. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second, folks. Let's do that again. They had some kind of vision, so they placed them there. There you go. Look at that. How about that? See, I told you on the last show that we would get the proper sound effects installed, so we did. So look at that. And poor Nathan can't actually hear any of the sound effects because I don't have that hooked up yet. But Nathan, what is your opinion on the CDC situation that's going on?
In my opinion, I could see why the CDC would place that warning on cruise ships. But honestly, in my opinion, even from the get-go, people should understand COVID isn't gonna be going away. And COVID will be on cruise ships for a while now, but I'm not sure the CDC will place another ban on cruise ships like the no sail order. I know there are some lawmakers in the U.S. trying to ban cruise ships again, but in my opinion, if cruising does shut down again, it will most likely just be a minor shutdown, say Royal Caribbean, takes, say, the Symphony of the Seas out of service for 2 weeks so they can sanitize it. But if cruising shuts down again, that's how I think it'll work. I definitely don't think there would be like another huge scale shutdown like what we saw last year
I
into this year.
agree with you there. I believe also the CDC does not have. I think after January, I don't know if this is still true. Again, it could change with this whole new variant thing. But I believe after January, the CDC says they're going to give up their control over the industry. Or at least that's what they claim. We'll have to wait and see on that. But yeah, again, if you aren't familiar with Nathan talking about the lawmaker guy, I did a video yesterday of this person saying shut down cruising. So you got to check that video out. Of course, it was this same guy who lives in Connecticut. And you know what? What cruise ship visited him? The ice-breaking ship. There you go. Another bad joke.
Well, on his defense, American Cruise Lines is actually based in Connecticut.
Oh my
Believe it or
goodness.
not.
So there are a cruise
fact.
line company there. Still, I think it's just route for him shutting down other cruise lines. But again, everyone, if you want to join the fun, join the conversation here, we are live and direct, streaming nationwide and worldwide on the Cruise Junkie YouTube channel. But you can join the fun, join the conversation here with me and Nathan. Again, that is via the pinned comment there. That is the Discord link. You can go ahead and join the chat, join the conversation, express your opinion. Of course, we all keep, only the rule we have is that you keep it sort of family friendly. No fighting, please. That's all we ask. And we have a great community over there. You have some of our favorite moderators, such as Nathan, Nick, and a whole bunch of other great people over there at the Discord community. So let's see what else is up in the news this week. Nathan, any other stories that really slid across your desk that were very big for you?
Yes, some big stories for me this week. Number one was cruise ships like not stopping at some ports of call. Like Tyler, like close to home, the Anthem of the Seas like just didn't even go to Port Canaveral on Sunday.
Yeah,
So,
that was an interesting. I'll jump in here. There, that was an interesting one. We don't know if it's related to the virus. We don't think so because I don't think the port is going to deny a ship. But it is interesting they did skip Port Canaveral.
I saw somewhere the reason why. I'm not sure. I forgot, but I think it was something to like. It was like the captain's decision or something. I'm not sure, but I think the ship is supposed to go to Port Canaveral next week. I'm not sure. I think so. So that begs the question: will it be stopping at Port Canaveral next week? I have to wait and see. I think it is.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I know one thing is for sure. Last time they skipped Port Canaveral, we're not joking around here. They ran out of food. They actually had to come a few days later, I believe on Black Friday, and come and restock their food as they did ran out of food on their cruise to the Bahamas. And of course, they had to sail back up to New Jersey, and they didn't want to leave the passengers angry and revolting. So that's a very unfortunate situation. But speaking of that, we have some more cruise news. They have the cruise line, none other than living at sea, or not just a cruise line, but if you want to live at sea, well, Cruise Industry News also this week gave themselves a rundown of everything you need to know about these residence at sea projects. I know Nathan and myself, we both would like to live on a cruise ship, but I think the cost does outweigh the reward, if you will. So we're going to go here. The first ship was the MV Narrative. That was Storylines. Nathan, have you heard of the Storyline Cruise Line?
I'm pretty sure I have before. I think so, yeah.
Yeah, again, if you're not familiar, Storylines, they're building a new vessel. It's called the MV Narrative. It was ordered in 2021. It is being built in all the way over there in Europe somewhere. Again, if you want to get a fully furnished residence from 237 square feet, that's the entry level, all the way up to 2,411 square feet. It is priced between $300,000 and over $8 million for a premium 2-level penthouse. Now, again, that does not include your taxes and port fees. Interesting thing about this this cruise ship, right, is that it's going to be basically LNG, which could mean it could be stopping in Port Canaveral for refueling. How about that? But what do we see on that one? And again, according to storylines, the owners and invited guests will be able to live a sustainable life of luxury and freedom at sea. Features on the ship include a waterfront marina, microbrewery, art studio, hydroponic gardens, and many, many more. So, Nathan, overall, what is your thoughts on this? And for that cheap price, I gotta say, we were looking at houses, and that's a pretty cheap price. Here at the Space Coast, you can't even get a house on the water for that price.
I definitely think for some people it will be a little bit costly, but also like I'm not really surprised by this concept because this concept has been like tossed around a couple times because most notably, if you guys know, the Freedom ship was actually supposed to be like this, where like you bought like basically like a mini house on the ship and you stayed there for as long as you want. I definitely think that these concepts are good, but most of the time they don't really work out well. Now for this company, Storylines, it is working out well for them, but like most companies, they will try to like start their own like how like basically their own hotel on the water, kind of like this, but it usually doesn't work out well because I did a live stream of Tyler. It was December 2020. There was a new company. I forgot what the name was, but they bought like a P&O Australia ship. Then like it only lasted for like a couple of months, and then like they just didn't even bother doing it.
Yeah, so that was Island Builders, I believe, was the company, and one of those names. And that cruise line actually wasn't a cruise line; it was basically a floating cruise ship. They were going to do everything. The reason it actually got scrapped, I believe, or it has not been into this cryptocurrency cruise ship, is because the company couldn't get insurance. So that is the reason why they couldn't get it. Now, Nick from Travel with Nick, he asked, where do they sail from? So for Storylines, actually, they sail all around the globe. So there's not actually a home port. So if you know, like, this isn't a really a cruise ship. So, like, this isn't one where you, like, book a week-long vacation. This is one where you pay $300,000 or how much ever your cost. And you basically own that room. And you can stay on board. Now, of course, you still got to pay for the fuel, the gas, the food, and all that stuff. But basically, you own a chunk into the ship. So you basically own that cabin. Again, there's one other ship right now, or this one other major ship that you can live on, which is the World. I'm sure Nathan heard of that one.
Yeah, yes, I have before. The ship actually came out in 2004. That was right around the time where like the Freedom ship was canceled. But anyway, I'm not sure if you can buy any room on the ship anymore. I think they're all like booked.
Yeah.
But Nick, anyway, like before we get on, but like Nick, before we get on, basically like how this company would work is alright. So say for instance, like you own it and you can get on the ship and get off the ship whenever you want. So say like you want to go from like New York City to Sydney, Australia. Like you get on the ship in New York and then you get off in Sydney. Or if you just want to stay on the ship for like 10 years, you can do that. Which I would just stay on the ship forever because I love cruise ships.
Absolutely, absolutely. Again, there's a few more entering service. However, this was the major one. So we're gonna go ahead now, and Nathan, this is a good one for us. We're gonna, according to Cruise Industry News, they have compiled their list of the top 10 cruise stories of 2021. And again, if you're watching the show, feel free to join the Discord call and interact and tell me if this article was right or it was wrong. Again, the link is pinned in the comments below. So we're going to go ahead and react to Cruise Industry News' top 10 stories of the year. So, you ready, Nathan?
Let's go ahead.
Alrighty, we're starting here. Number 10, Celebrity Edge relaunches service from the U.S. Of course, the Celebrity Edge departed Port Everglades on June 26th with a 1,105 passengers on board, making it the first revenue sailing for a large cruise ship from the U.S. port in over 15 months. The Celebrity Cruises vessel was the first ship above the 250-person mark to sail in the country, having received the green light from authorities just weeks before. Several other cruise ships followed its lead and returned to U.S. ports, resulting in a July uptick in the global cruise restart. Speaking of the cruise restart, me and Nathan, earlier in the year on my second main channel, we did a show about the American Cruise Line. Unfortunately, the software, which we're streaming on today, caused the computer to froze and die on us, and the internet too. So it was very unfortunate of a situation, but we did cover the first cruise ship, which was the one, the only, the American Independence. How about that? And you know what? It's very patriotic to have the independence of cruising, right? Again, patriotic. That was supposed to be a lineup for a joke, but as you can tell, I messed up that joke. Nathan, but wasn't that just a cool time when we had the Independence resume sailings?
Yep. I definitely think like the independent sailing, in my opinion, definitely like kickstarted the U.S. cruising again because like more cruise ships started sailing after that, and like even though like some people just say like, oh, American Cruise Line is like a small cruise line. It's actually pretty big in like the U.S. market. But we also got Queen Steamboat Company, which actually, believe it or not, was actually supposed to sail around the same time. However, one of their ships carried over like 250 passengers, which in CDC standards is a big no-no. And like they had some disputes with the CDC, and ultimately ended up canceling like the restart, but I think they restarted like in April or May, so they did restart eventually.
I do remember that story where they were carrying more than they were supposed to, and they were sailing the ships. The ships had a capacity more than they were supposed to. The ships that were sailing had a capacity above 250, and the CDC wasn't happy about that. Even though they weren't sailing at 250, their capacity was above 250. Let's also see what else happened here. They also, according to them, nearly 35, this is number 9, nearly 35 new cruise ships entered service in 2021. That is a lot of ships. And again, the figure includes 16 cruise ships that were delivered in 2020 and 30 other vessels that were set to be delivered by the end of December. Also, and you may be wondering, Tyler, well, 16 and 30 does not add up to 35. Again, this number was due to other ships having their delivery this year delayed until 2022, including the Wonder of the Seas as an example. Number 8, Azamar is sold to a private equity firm, the Sycamore Partners. Again, this deal was described as a huge opportunity for all parties, including Azamar entire 3-ship fleet. And also, this is very interesting. Of course, Sycamore went on to acquire the Pacific Princess a few weeks later for its new cruise operation. The vessel is set to debut in 2022, becoming Azamar's 4th ship. That was a cool move that they company took over the Azamar, and they actually made it better by bringing in a 4th ship into operation.
Yeah, I definitely think like switching it over was a good decision. In my opinion, I think the reason why Royal Caribbean sold off Azamara was not because they couldn't afford it, but I think it's just because they couldn't really like put like a ton of like basic, how do I explain it? Like try just do things with it, because I think at the time they were just more focused on like Celebrity and Royal Caribbean. But yeah, it's interesting to see how this new firm is gonna be of Azamara.
Yeah, so according to Jason Liberty, which is now he's now the CEO of Royal Caribbean Group, or it's going to be in a few weeks. Basically, he said the reason why behind this move was Azamar didn't fit the Royal Caribbean Group that much. It was a great line, it just didn't fit what the brand was for. Versus you have Silver Sea made more sense of the company. It's just more of a brand that's more up to date with the Royal Caribbean Group partners. Like basically, what when Royal Caribbean Group cruisers enjoy the most. Silver Sea fit that bill, so they had to move Azamar out. So I'll see if you're on the Discord. If you want, if you're on the Discord channel, comment in the chat, and I'll see if I can find that. If you want me to find that interview with Jason Liberty, where he went through all of his stuff, which. Jason Liberty is interesting. I don't really want to do my full opinions on this show on him. I'm just afraid that we're going to another Bob Chapek in the cruise industry. We do not want to bother Bob Chapek. So all that we hope is we don't have Bob Chapek. So Mr. Liberty is, again, the same background as Chapek. So we're just hoping that... Nathan, you know who Chapek is, right?
I think I've heard of him, but I'm not sure.
So if you're unfamiliar, Bob Chapek is the CEO of the Walt Disney Company now. So Disney Cruise Line, Disney Parks, Disney Entertainment, all those companies.
Oh, yeah.
Alrighty, moving on to, I believe we're at 1, 10, 9, 8. Number 7 was the cruise ship dry dock frenzy. So that's right. As predicted by Cruise Industry News, so the company I'm reading this list from, 2021 saw an unprecedented number of cruise ships dry dock. The global cruise fleet was returning to service, so shipyards kept busy with an above average number of cruise ships project. And again, for example, Carnival right now. Carnival is in a major dry dock frenzy. Almost every ship in the fleet is trying to go to dry dock to either get fixed or simply just to get upgraded, like the new paint and livery. Which, speaking of that, Nathan, what's your thoughts on Carnival's new livery? Are you for it or against it?
I'm actually for it, because with the Mardi Gras coming out and like Carnival like trying to like kind of rebrand like Carnival itself, I definitely think it's a smart decision on their end, and especially some of the older ships. No offense, but like, but here's some boat stuff for some of you guys who don't know. What happens is that like if you don't wash a boat off, it collects rust. And like sometimes you can see that on cruise ships, because they don't wash it off. And like Disney, you'll see how Disney sprays the ship is because they don't want rust getting on it. So I definitely think Carnival is making a smart decision on their end, in my opinion. Yeah, I actually don't want to comment on that real quick, because and also like talking about like the CDC updating the additional sale order. Um, because if you guys know, the CDC didn't really do much. They announced the conditional stay order, but like nothing more was announced. And like I believe it was sometime before the independence that sailed. Um, they just updated it out of the blue, and then cruising um basically just like kickstarted. So basically that's how we got the freedom of the sea sailing from um uh from Miami and stuff like that. And also like Alaska, if you guys know, like basically like the Alaskan cruise season was like it was just done. Um so if you guys know, in the US there's this thing called the Jones Act. Basically if you got a ship, say it's registered in Nassau, like just about every cruise ship on this earth registered at. So how that works is that it can the ship can go from say Port Canaveral to Miami, but it can't go back up to Port Canaveral. It has to go to like the Bahamas. And if it doesn't, then it can face like a ton of fines.
By the way, I want to interrupt you, Nathan.
See...
It's the Passenger Vessel Service Act, not the Jones Act. Jones Act is cargo, passenger vessel service, cruise ships. But sorry for that. I had to interrupt you with that.
Oh, sorry. Anyway, because if cruise lines do that, then they can face a ton of fines. So that's why you notice, like, cruise lines would do like Miami, then day at sea, then Miami, which you can't do anymore. So that's why like you don't see cruise lines doing that anymore because of that. But a lawmaker in Alaska, or like a lawmaker in the U.S., basically lifted it because if you notice, if a ship set out of Seattle going to Alaska, it had to make a stop in Canada. Now Disney can get around that because Disney always sails from Vancouver. So they're not embarking on a U.S. port. Disney can get around that. But now that Canada has reopened their borders to cruise ships, I definitely think we might see some cruise ships dock at Canadian ports next summer.
Yeah, that's for sure. And again, I'm getting the mic muted on my end, which is very unfortunate. Again, I talked about the two headlines where CDC released updates to the conditional sail order after they have never released any updates to that. And of course, Nathan was just saying the 2021 Alaskan cruise season was saved by a bill. Royal Caribbean was the first cruise line to resume operations on July the 9th, followed by Princess Cruise Line, Holland America, Celebrity, Carnival, and Silversea and Norwegian. So the next one, over 60% of the worldwide cruise fleet is back in service now. 239 ships are set to be in service by the end of the year, sailing for 68 cruise lines. Mardi Gras also debuted this year, and of course I was there in Port Canaveral to see who arrived here in the U.S. for the first time, but again, this was Carnival Cruise Line's biggest ship to ever enter service by a long time. This is a 180-ton vessel, was built in Finland, and it's the first of a series of 3 ships that will also include the Carnival Celebration and Carnival Jubilee. Again, the ship was originally scheduled to enter service in 2020. And again, Carnival Mardi Gras did not just make history for being the Carnival's first ever ship ever to be this big. It also was the first LNG powered cruise ship to operate in North America. And of course, if you watched my recent video on my main channel, you would see the LNG barge Q Ocean Services.
And I actually do want to comment on that real quick. And also like the Mardi Gras coming back into like the U.S. like if you guys seen like Tyler's video and there's like other videos on like the Mardi Gras coming in as well. It was also big. Not to mention the Odyssey of the Seas came into Port Canaveral coincidentally the same day. So that was definitely a huge moment. And also I think the Mardi Gras I believe is also the U.S.'s first LNG powered ship. I think. I think. I'm not sure. I
It
have to
is
check.
indeed the first LNG cruise ship to be. It's not the first LNG ship, LNG cruise ship. But yeah, it is the first LNG ship to be home ported here in the U.S. Cruise ship, as otherwise. Other than that, number 2 is new cruise lines were introduced this year. We have Indians-based Corella Cruises and China's-based 4C Cruises, and niche brands such as Swan, Celtic, and Tradewind Voyages. Other brands also joined the lineup later in the year, including Ambassador Cruise Line, Margaritaville at Sea, which is technically debuting next year, and Explora Journeys.
And Tyler, and you also have the sorry, and also Virgin Voyages started sailing this year. Now I know, like, some of you might think, like, oh, Nathan, well, they started last year. Here's the thing: they started their maiden voyages last year, so technically they started this year.
Yeah.
We also got Virgin Voyages.
Virgin Voyages. That's an interesting cruise line. I was watching someone's video today, and I left a comment on that. They have some interesting things they need to fix, and it's not what you think. It's their music. I'll talk about that later. But after we get this last number 1, what do you think number 1 is, Nathan? What do you think number 1 of the top 10 cruise stories of 2021 is? You're gonna be off because this is disappointing. I'm upset, angry, gonna get a lawyer. It's just upsetting. I'm gonna get Jim Walker to call Cruise Law News and to Cruise Industry News and change this up because it's just upsetting. Shouldn't even be number 1. So what do you think number 1 is? You have a while to guess, Nathan. What do you think it is?
I would definitely think maybe the cruise comeback from, like, Nassau, like, from Royal Caribbean. I think that's it.
Well, Nathan, you were way off. According to number 1 story of Cruise Industry News, is the first China big cruise ship floated out. I know that's just depressing, but yeah, it was number 1 right there. According to this, the first Carnival China cruise ship new build was floated out in Shanghai in December. This vessel is the first big cruise ship to be built in China, set to enter service in 2023. There you go. That's the biggest story. I don't think so, but Cruise Industry News, that's their biggest story. So again, if you disagree with this, join the Discord call and express your opinions. Again, we're going to be live here for a little bit longer. How longer can you go, Nathan? Can we go all the way to 9 o'clock?
I don't really care, Tyler. It's your stream. We can do whatever we want.
Alrighty, looks like Nathan's going to be joining us for a little bit longer. So again, if you want to join the conversation, join the link in the chat. If you're watching the replay, again, we're going to try to do the show more often. We're going to have guests on the show. Again, it's a hangout show. This is a casual show. We're not really interviewing a guest. You just join the show, okay? So we're going to have this show a whole lot more. And again, if you want to join, if you haven't joined the Discord channel already, what are you doing? Again, go ahead and join the Discord channel. That is for sure. Me and Nathan, all the rest of us, we always have a fun time. I post behind the scenes photos, stuff that I don't post on Patreon. I just post on Discord too. So I always ask opinions and stuff. So yeah, again, the Discord's always a fun time.
Yeah, and Discord's definitely a fun time. And also, and also, like, talking about the Chinese market of cruising. The thing about the Chinese market is that, like, how to explain it? Like, it's kind of like a tough market to get into because, you know, it's like most cruise lines, they enter the Chinese market but then pull out in like 2 years. Royal Caribbean has been very successful in the Chinese market, but like Norwegian, unfortunately, they haven't been as good in the market because if you guys remember, the Norwegian Joy, believe it or not, if you watch Tony from Lightly Loca, he was actually on the ship a couple of weeks ago. But if you don't notice, the Norwegian Joy was built just for the Chinese market. It entered service and then like they pulled it out 2 years later because it wasn't as successful as they hoped.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a good old days when we were talking to the cruise news about that and not these new protocols and stuff. Those were the good old days of cruising. Yeah, again, a lot of things happened over this year. Again, if you're familiar with us here at the show, we are the Cruise Junkie. We do these types of shows every week. Live shows and cruise news recaps, plus miscellaneous videos that you always want to make sure you watch. So again, if you have not done so already, feel free to go down below and hit that subscribe button and ding the bell so you will be notified every time I post another one of videos. And also, if you've not done, check out our partner channels, which are Travel with Nick, Best of Both Worlds, and we're trying to add another one later in the year. So go ahead and check those out. And of course, check out my main channel, The Tyler Show. I publish pork and other content and interviews with other famous creators. And it's not famous, just fabulous people overall. So you want to go ahead and check that out. Nathan, anything you want to plug other than your channel? So let me know.
Yeah, yeah, and also, like, if you just want to check out my channel, yeah, you can. I don't really care, but check out Tyler's channel first, then check out mine.
Again, Nathan's going to be doing some new content over the years with, I believe he has are you doing the Battleship video?
I have 4 videos lined up. I'm not going to spoil all of them, but one video I went on a US battleship, and you guys will have to check that out. There was some like audio or like music playing in the background, so it might be hard to hear me, but I think it'll be fine. I'm actually starting editing that right now, so I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, editing is the hardest part of making videos, other than filming it. Filming is very tricky because if you don't film a lot of video, which I noticed, I don't film a lot of B-roll, and it's very depressing because I want to tell some amazing stories, but I don't film enough content. I take a lot of photos. I have like a terabyte worth of photos from my last trip to the park, but not a lot of videos. So editing is the trickiest part, especially with the music, figuring out copyright or not. It's a pain. So. Again, I respect people who make good edits. Just their things are just very interesting. So, again, editing is it could be a full-time job. So, again, y'all, we want to talk about the cruise news so far. Again, this week has been pretty dull. Just a lot of not outbreaks. Oh, speaking of the show, we're gonna talk about the clickbait. This was one of our topics we were going to talk about. I forgot. Talking about the clickbait. So, Nathan, you and me know both the media outlets calling outbreaks on cruise ship. Actually, I was watching an Inside Edition video, which, by the way, don't recommend you watch Inside Edition cruise ship reporting. It's absolutely over dramatized most of the time and not actually that factual. So, again, they had a report that they're like, oh my goodness, they're having outbreaks on cruise ship. And you hear outbreaks on cruise ships, you think the numbers are going to be 40% of the people are testing positive on this ship. No, only 1%. Or just say there's a cruise ship. The cruise ship has 1,000 people. Only about 50 get positive, and 50 is a lot. But I mean, usually though, if the ship's carrying about 1,000 people, the number is way lower than that. So if that's the case, usually only around like 15 people get test positive on an average cruise, which is still a high number, but it is less than 1%. Versus you have cruise lines, I mean not cruise lines, but media outlets who are putting basically saying that there's outbreaks when there's not an outbreak. Again, it's just disappointing to see that these people are calling these things outbreaks, and they're not even anywhere close to an outbreak, right? I mean, an outbreak, again, is like the 40% number. I believe Royal Caribbean did their numbers about, of all their cruises they sailed, they only had about, I believe, what was the number they released? They basically said 0.2%. It was like a small number. People tested positive out of all of them. The crew and the passengers arrived. Again, it's just hypercritical, like what the CDC is doing. So, last thing I want to point out, then I hand over to Nathan, is the CDC yesterday announced that basically today, they also announced yesterday some other things, but today they announced that level 4, which is the highest you can go possibly with the number rating, basically saying it doesn't matter if you're unvaccinated, vaccinated, don't go on a cruise ship. And again, this is disappointing and nonsensical news, because this same organization announced a few days ago that you can go back to work in 5 days after you contract the virus, which is just crazy.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely think it's crazy because sorry, but like they like when like you see on the news, like Inside Edition and stuff like that, they'll say, oh, there's a COVID outbreak on this ship. There's like 1,000 people on the ship. It's considered about 40% So that means about if 400 people on the ship got COVID, then it'll be a COVID outbreak. Like, 10 people getting COVID on a ship that can hold 1,000 people is not a COVID outbreak at all. Now like people are talking about like, but like 70 ships are being investigated. But here's the thing: I've been doing more research. If one person on the ship tests positive for COVID, the ship goes immediately into investigation. Just because the ship is in investigation doesn't mean that like it has a COVID outbreak on board.
I agree with you there.
But I'm just kind of upset right now because all the but anyway, but like I said, like I'm sorry because like all these people, like all these lawmakers and all these like the media outlets, like they're spreading false information. Like some are basically saying like, oh well, all these cruise ships have COVID outbreaks on them. When in reality, like some cruise ships only just have like one COVID case on board. Like I'm definitely upset at that.
Yeah, speaking of that, our good favorite attorney at sea, Mr. Jim Walker, has been keeping us up to date. So if you always want to stay up to date with what's going on with the bad cruise news, always follow Jim Walker, of course. Again, 50 people have been affected on the Harmony of the Seas, 49 crew members and one guest at the moment. Their ship has been not turned away from Roatan, just arrived. Let's see what else also happened. Also, 50 infected crew members on board the Carnival Vista, according to Jim Walker. Let's see what else. 14 new cases on the Jewel of the Seas. Again, this all happened in the past week or so. Not the exact week, but the past week or so. So, yeah, there you go. Mr. Jim Walker, his blog. So, it's an interesting blog. Me and Nathan love Jim Walker, don't we?
I kind of do. But not really.
Yeah. Jim Walker. What an interesting dude. There you go. So again, y'all, the cruise news is pretty much done for this week. That's pretty much the show, sort of. We pretty much covered all the cruise news. This week's been pretty dull, other than those news stories about the virus. But in terms of like other news, it's been pretty dull. Again, cruise ships are sailing back to better than ever before. People are going on cruises. People are having a better time than ever before. It's just overall a great experience. So again, if you're booked on a cruise, people always ask, should I go? Just go ahead. And if you're booked on a cruise, still do it. Again, cruises are some of the safest places to ever travel to with the vaccine requirements, testing requirements, mask requirements, safest places on land or at sea. Now, there you go. So as mentioned, again, Cruises is back. And speaking who is back, well, we're back here every single week. We try to do this show every night. Again, doesn't matter. So we try to do it every weeknight, like not every single day, like Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. No, we do it about once a week. Again, we try to do it in the evening hours. We say usually now 9 o'clock, but sometimes it's earlier, sometimes later, depending on what our guest or what I'm doing. So again, we like to do the show. We like to hang out, chat about the news. Of course, we also do a little bit of comedy in the show in the beginning. And again, it's overall a great show. We have some of our co-hosts, Nathan. Nathan, once again, thank you for joining us tonight.
Welcome.
Yeah, so again, check out Nathan's channel, Best of Boat World. Again, absolutely great content. He has 4 videos coming out, as mentioned here on the show earlier. And again, a big thank you to our Patreon supporters who make these live streams, videos, and all this possible. If you want to find more about becoming a Patreon member, visit the link down in the description below. Or visit patreon.com/TylerShow. Becoming a Patreon member allows me to create more videos, do more quality content, and overall keep the lights on and the levers pulling here at the channel. Again, the Patreons helped me got so much new gear that wouldn't have been possible to get. That really just helps us improve the quality of the channel. Again, the content always going to be free on these channels. We're never going to have basically a closed door where you have to pay to see content. But Patreon just gives you the extra push, and in return, I give you access before anyone else does to rare content. So once again, thank everyone for joining us. And again, big thank you to Nathan for joining us. If you want to be coming on these shows, again, this is an open format show. You just all we ask is you join the Discord, which is absolutely free, no strings attached. Just join it, and you can hop on the voice channel. So again, y'all, we'll be back here in the new year with some more episodes of the Cruise News Live Quick Takes. But again, this has been the Cruise News Tonight, and we're going to see you right back here sometime next week. Until then, y'all, be safe out there and have a happy New Year.
Cruise News Tonight was a production of the Cruise Junkie.
For more information, visit the Cruise Junkie YouTube channel for daily shows such as the Cruise News Live Quick Takes. Cruise News Tonight is a weekly program that airs weeknights at 9 o'clock. You can follow us on Instagram at The Cruise Show to keep up with the latest happenings with the Cruise Junkie. Once again, I've been your host, Tyler, and this is the Cruise Junkie.